Okay, we are live.
We are
Episode
live.
30.
Episode 30. And today we're talking
Theory
about...
of Friends.
I thought we were talking about hands. We're talking about friends?
Friends. Yeah.
Gotta fucking... Okay, let's scratch all the notes I took about hands.
Hands?
Glad we prepared. Well, if you spoke English a little more clearly, son, maybe I could understand you. Friends, yeah. Let's talk about those things.
Yeah.
Go.
By the way, this is our last episode in Thailand.
Last
Finally.
episode.
Yeah. Today is Saturday, 11th. Tomorrow we're headed to Phuket for my fight, which takes place on Monday next day, and Tuesday we come back here in Anna, and that's it. The next day on Wednesday we are flying to Bangkok, and from Bangkok to home.
Yeah. It's crazy that we've already arrived to the end of this destination.
Mm-hmm.
It went by so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we got here basically March 2nd or 1st, around there sometime, and now it's the middle to the end of June.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience, and while we didn't make any Thai friends, did we? Other than the gym
so,
coaches?
Yeah, the coaches, and that's it.
Wait, come on. What about Cocoa House?
Cocoa House, yes. They make us feel at home, right?
Yeah.
Very good. The Cocoa House is, well, that's not the name of the restaurant, but it's right next to, or just part of it. This restaurant is next to the Cocoa House, which is a lodging facility. And they're really good to us. And their specialty, is it specialty?
Mm-hmm.
Special, I'm sorry, yeah. Their specials daily are amazing, right?
Phenomenal.
So we go there, I mean, we just walking distance, we walk there after getting stoned.
True.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, they're so kind, you know.
Very
so,
kind.
yeah.
I mean, it's also nice because every time we go by, you know, they wave, we wave.
Mm-hmm.
We see the same faces, same familiar
Yeah.
people. So, yeah, there's some friendship, maybe not as deep of as a friendship as obviously like you and I have. But this is the cool thing about friends is that you can have so many different shades of gray across the spectrum of friendships. I mean, there's a vast array of varying relationships, but they all fall under the umbrella of friendship.
Yeah.
I think there's some danger in not having enough definitions of the type of friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason we don't have any words to describe those relationships is because they're just too nuanced to describe effectively. But I think we've all had our fair share of great friends, bad friends, you know, friends that we would say are closer to acquaintances, but we know them or we're more friendly with them. So we'd say, oh, yeah, I'm friends with them. But for you personally, what do you think it is to be in a friendship?
Rephrase that question, please.
What constitutes a friendship or relationship? Well, you would say that's my friend.
Depends on the, you know, the type of friendship that you have. Like you just said, you know, there are many types of friendship. Realistically, maybe it's not intentional, but that's just a fact, right? Because you have number of friends, and some of them you call them your best friends, some of them you call them just friends, you know, some of them you just say, oh, I just know that guy, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we don't really be strict about what friendship is, but we sort of have that spectrum of friendship, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, when you know, when I'm asked a question like that, to me that refers to only friends, like friends, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, we actually briefly talked about this the other day, that why friendships, the good friendship, real friendship, is different from like romantic relationship in a way that friendship can last for a long time in comparison to romantic relationship on average, obviously, right? I mean, I know a lot of people who can date someone like for 10 years, something like that.
Very
right?
impressive.
Yeah, a track record of long-term relationships only. But on average, it is true that friendships last longer. And I think one of the reasons is that between friends, you don't really have expectations. At least in a good friendship, right?
Yeah.
Like we're friends. I don't do things for you because I expect something in return, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of times in romantic relationship, is the nature, unfortunately, could be, I'm not saying it is always, it could be very transactional, you know?
Yeah.
I do this, therefore I expect you to do this as well, you know? But in friendship, yeah, sometimes there are things like that, but it's more of, you know, non-important things, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
They're not what constitute the
yes,
majority of that
yes.
relationship.
It's just like a small element that could be there, but it's not the major part of the friendship, you know?
Mhm.
But in romantic relationship, I think a lot of times that the nature is transactional, you know?
Mm.
Hey, I don't go out, you know, party at a club on a Saturday night, whatever. I don't want you to do it either, you know? Like things
Yeah.
like that, right? I don't, I mean, let's not just go further than that, but things like that. I mean, it's transactional, you know?
Yeah. So you'd say one of the biggest differences between a romantic relationship and a platonic friendship would essentially be the expectation and kind of projecting our values on somebody else. I think typically in friendships, you're more understanding. You kind of give this person
Yeah.
more flexibility to be who they are. You're like, okay, they have their own set of values. Doesn't really affect mine too much.
Yeah.
And you're able to live in that middle ground there. Whereas for whatever reason, it seems like more oftentimes than not, romantic relationships, you're trying to be closer to the ideal relationship in your head, you know, closer to in line with your thoughts and your ideas. And it is almost this kind of transactional thing. I treat you with love. You treat me back with love.
Yeah.
You know, I respect you. And of course, that word resembles so many different circumstances.
Yeah.
Because for one person, you know, treating somebody with love could be, oh, hey, I thought of you, so I bought this at the store. And I saw it and I thought of you. Whereas for somebody else, that may not be an act of love. That might be representative of something else entirely.
Yeah.
So I do think initially going into the relationships, they're set up very differently. And almost to fail or succeed, I feel like there's a way more pressure on a romantic relationship than a friendship, which is why they oftentimes fail. That, and I think the criteria for your romantic relationship is usually, I don't know if I'd say for people it's more strict on average,
Yeah.
but I think they have the illusion of keeping a tighter knit.
Yeah, of course. I think so. I think on average that is very true. You know, like when you pick a person to become your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, like you look at a lot of things, you know, appearance, behavior, you know, things like that.
Well, I'm glad you started with the most important one there, appearance, because if not,
Well, I personally do not care about it.
I don't care if you're attractive. I just care if I'm attracted to you. You know?
Yeah. So, like, there are this, you know, things that you look at, right, when you pick a girlfriend or boyfriend. But between friends, when you make a friend, like, you don't really think about it.
No.
I don't care how you look, you know. I don't care how much you make. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Would you say almost that a friendship is built upon not it's not dependent upon a preconceived notion, which is why you develop a friendship.
Right.
You come in with no expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
And you happen to be friends. You're like, oh shit, we get along.
Right.
Whereas I feel like a lot of people, when they're looking for a romantic partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whatever you want to call it, oftentimes they're entering these interactions with people and trying to size them up to say, well, this person fit in the box that I want to be for a romantic partner. And for whatever reason, friends, you just don't have that kind of expectation. You're just like, friends are the people you meet along the way and you happen to get along. Whereas people think romantic partners are people I choose and select and they fit in my box and that's why we get along together. Yeah. Which, like I said before, I think that sets us up for disaster. I think friendships, in my personal experience, have been the hands down most valuable thing I've had. for sure. I think friends make life
Yeah.
worth living, and without them, I don't think I'd want to live. Not to say that I couldn't, but I don't think there would be as much joy.
Right.
Friendship just adds such a neat, deeper layer and complexity to reality. For me personally, I find a lot of joy in that. I think it's hard because I know a lot of people that don't have these friendships.
Yeah.
Or they've never had really good friends, so they kind of don't understand necessarily what they're missing out on. I don't like to say that people are missing out on things, but what a unique thing you can have when you have a deep relationship with somebody. You know?
Yeah.
It can become something else entirely.
Yeah, 100%.
Actually, funny enough, I went to the other day, so we stopped, to get the edibles and things like that, or I did when you were training.
Yeah.
She was like, "Where's your friend, your brother? Your brother,
Mm-hmm.
brother or friend?" We don't look like we're related.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool because they see us all the time. Like, "Oh, your brother."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's cool."
I mean, we've actually lied about it, remember?
Yeah. Come on, Jamal. Totally believable.
Yeah. It's just fun. Jamel.
Where would you say has been the most difficult place for you to make friendships? Because I think there's a lot of people, I don't know if they're listening to this right now, but a lot of people have issues making good friendships and relationships. So I don't know, maybe to somebody out there listening, is there any advice you would give, or maybe some information as to?
I think it's just it would be very general advice that I give to people. Just like making a friend or a romantic partner. I think the very first step that is most important is to be genuine. And another thing, going back to what we were talking about earlier, don't make the relationship transactional. Well, I mean, I said earlier that friendships are different in that, but I also know that there are some people who have we know exactly what we're talking about. There are some people who make friends that are transactional, just purely based on transactional need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're my friend just because I need something from you,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, those kind of friends could be beneficial to you, but to me, that's like a waste of time, because I don't want to interact with anybody who, with whom I know for sure that I can be genuine,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you can make friends in any way you want, but I think without being genuine, I think it's hard to make a good friend.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think this kind of runs back into what we talked about in the last episode. Ideology is that if you build a house with the wrong foundation,
Yeah, exactly.
you don't come in genuine. You come in giving the person what they want to hear. Eventually you're going to build this house tall enough and you realize, it's leaning over, it's going to fall over. This wasn't a good thing. And there's going to be damage just because you didn't show up and arrive as a genuine person.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to be genuine initially, right? It's something you learn.
Yeah.
It's a skill set you develop where you can realize,
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm genuine, I'm being ingenuine. And it's totally fine to take time to navigate those emotions, especially when you're developing friendships, because it is a lot of trial and error. You don't really know necessarily how you're going to feel about bending your identity or who you think you are, or who you say you are, a little bit until you do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you go too far one way and you've got to bring it back a little bit so that person can actually see you and know you, and they have to do the same thing. I think that's what makes a friendship so beautiful, is that we understand that about each other. Like you kind of give each other room to grow and then come back and be like, we're still cool. Like even if you're different, I'm slightly different, like our relationship's good.
Yeah.
And that to me is like an extremely beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because again, there's so many of these relationships that we have in our lives, whether they're, your employer, or maybe your employee, maybe they're your wife, your spouse, your partner, coworker. We have all these relationships with human beings, and so few of them would work out if we were genuinely authentic.
Yeah.
Because then we'd have to kind of set an expectation of ourselves and of others.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'd have to bend a little bit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's something you just have to do in order to meet other people. So I think friendship is one of the few things in your life that can really offer you an avenue of huge personal growth, development,
True.
and let you understand without that kind of exchange of, I do something for you, you do something for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand there's still something to be gained out of a friendship, even without that transactional nature at the start. There's something much deeper.
Yeah.
The gift of friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, how long have we been friends now? 2-3 weeks?
Not so long. I mean, I not that long. I think, right?
2014?
Yeah, 2014.
8 years? About 8 years.
I have a headache right now for some reason.
Oh, man. You got a headache. You got to take medicine. Wait, you already took the medicine, didn't you?
Yeah, like 2 hours ago, maybe 3 hours ago. Tylenol.
Maybe it's time for a round 2.
Maybe, but
we're almost getting done with the short version here. We only got a few more minutes to go.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about our friendship from the beginning in the non-free version.
If you want to know about our deep friendship.
Yeah. But I was going to say that before we, get into our friendship, I was going to say that, friendship can be a very valuable thing in your life. I mean, that's the next good friends, right? I'm talking about good friends. That's the closest thing to your family, or even better sometimes, like the reason family is so great is that, you feel home. You feel like you're home, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. You feel comfortable. You can be yourself. They can touch your heart. You can talk about your, hardships. You can talk about things that are, that you don't want to reveal to other people. Like they know who you are, and therefore you feel very comfortable,
Yeah.
In front of them, you can fully be yourself.
Yeah.
You
You can be expressive, I think, without the fear of retaliation about, maybe there's a misstep in my expression, but you're not going to punish me for it. Whereas some of the other areas, if you step out of line, fucking get right back in line. They'll make sure you know.
Yeah. And then, like, good friends, another thing is that friends can be judgmental about your behavior, your decisions, ideas, whatever. But really good friends, the good thing is that you don't care. You don't feel bad. You don't feel offended when your friend judges you on something. You don't feel offended if you really treat them like as a good friend, like a real friend.
Yeah.
Right. And then you sometimes welcome it. You feel appreciative that your friend can see the flaws or things that you're not aware, that they can point out that, hey, I think this is not something you should pursue, or this is something that you should fix, whatever. Like a genuine advice.
Like, you say it all the time, that proverb that a monk can't shave his own head. I think there's a ton of truth to that. And that's also the beautiful thing about friendship, because you come as who you are, and that other person in a true friendship, they come as who they are, that you feel like, okay, this person knows me, they see it. So I can actually take their advice. Like, their advice is valuable because they know you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not stupid. They're actually saying things that very well could add benefit to your life. Or at the very least challenge the way you're currently tackling your life. And like you just said, where else can you get that in life without
Mhm.
having to pay for it?
Yeah.
And then if you're paying for it, it becomes transactional.
Exactly.
And it might be something different. They might be
Mhm.
telling you what you want to hear because you're paying for it.
Mhm.
You know, there's no benefit for me personally to
Mhm.
come to my friend and say, hey, I see these areas,
Yeah.
and then risk the relationship unless I genuinely care about the
Mhm.
person more than I care about even the friendship.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
even
like,
if you even if you don't agree with your friend's judgment, you can at least genuinely talk about, discuss it.
Yeah.
That's the greatest part, without getting offended, without getting hit. Like, that's different. But anyway, we are into 20 minutes in.
We're 20 minutes in. That means get out of here, you freeloaders. It's time for our Patreon members. All 2 of you.
Yeah.
3 of you. 4 of you. However many of you there are.
Yeah, but thanks for tuning in for this week. We'll see you next week.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.